I first tried this drug with one of my boon companions, and, as is often the case, my first impression made up my mind for me. He had told me a little about it, so I knew what to expect. He also told me it seemed pretty, hard, or chemmy. I rather wanted to try something new, so I ate a moderate amount of the pills, the equate ones, best quantity, quality, price. I do not recall anything extraordinary about how I felt while it was beginning to affect me, just that it was nearly impossible to hold coherent conversation with anyone else on it. It would just get lost or trail off. Somewhat later on, I was sitting on the floor of my room, thinking in that strange way you think sometimes on acid or shrooms or when you just can't sleep, just thoughts and ideas and pictures flowing through my head. Some of it may have been more of a dreamlike fantasy, I don't entirely recall, just thoughts a mile a minute. Through the haze that was my mind, the clarion bell of perception rang dully. I could hear a sound, behind me. Someone was coming up the steps. My mind was aware of this, but still lost in its dreamland, lost within itself, the land you explored in open-eyed vicarious fantasies in that boring junior high class, or that calc you just can't deal with hungover at 8 a.m. Anyhow, I was trying to focus my eyes and turn around to deal with just whoever it was coming up the stairs behind me. It was only by the time that they had passed behind me that I actually focused my eyes, which were actually open the entire time, and managed to turn myself around. I recall that later on that evening the sensation was like having smoked a lot of weed a long time before, compounded with being somewhat drunk. Sometimes I found myself reaching twice for light switches, etc. There were visuals, nothing too specific or complex, and, what I found the most surprising aspect, they were on non-trippy things, dirt on floors, tar on roads and shadows. Escher and magic eye-type things did nothing for me. The trip part was very dark and overpowering, like when I get stone drunk, but not particularly visually exciting or mentally stimulating. I think it had an affect on my memory like alcohol, because it all seems fuzzy. I did smaller amounts several other times and I think we even tried smoking or sniffing it. The fact that I don't remember implies that the result wasn't worth remembering. I thought that this drug had too much chemical feeling of the buzz in proportion to the psychedelic effects, and was too powerful in strange ways for me. I do not intend to do it again, even if it is cheap as dirt. I will stick to time-tried and honored LSD, THC and alcohol, which is the only drug that has come as close to making me feel as scrwed up as I was then. My recollection places it in the same categories as, parties I forgot all of, or, nights I remember 15 minutes of, and, I remember the first 3 shots not the, I ate 3 and everything was a crawling mad hallucination, type. Not for me. I have a hard enough time feeling lost in the world as it is. I don't need to be lost within myself as well.